Thank you very much for joining for today's Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, last couple of weeks we were discussing from chapter 7, where by the request of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva came to the sacrificial arena in order to restore the sacrifice. Then, after correcting the what all happened, mischief, then Daksha began the sacrifice in order to purify the arena. Then Lord Vishnu appeared. All the different personalities assembled there, they offered their respective prayers, requested Lord Vishnu to purify the entire arena so that the sacrifice can be performed, etc. So then, having offered all the prayers, they became silent. Then Daksha begins to getting ready to continue the sacrifice. And that is where Lord Vishnu is going to reply. And that is where we stopped last week. And we'll continue from verse number 48 onwards. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Daksha Kaviryajnam Bhadrarudrabhimarshitam Kirtyamane Rishikeshe Sanninye Yajna Bhavane. Can read the translation.
Sri Maitreya said, after Lord Vishnu was glorified by all present, Daksha, his consciousness purified, arranged to begin again the yajna, which had been devastated by the followers of Lord Shiva.
So now Maitreya is beginning. What happened afterwards? O Vidura, after Lord Vishnu, the well-wisher of the entire sacrifice, Rishikesha Yajna Bhavane, as he was glorified by all the assembled personalities, the wise Daksha restored the sacrifice spoiled by Veerabhadra. So Daksha requested all the Brahmanas to restart. So somewhat like that. So then Bhagavan Svena Bhagena Sarvatma Sarva Bhagabhuk Daksham Babhasa Abhasya Priyamana Ivanaga.
Maitreya continued, my dear sinless Vidura, Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Still, because of his being the super soul of all living entities, he was satisfied simply with his share of the sacrificial offering. He therefore addressed Daksha in a pleasing attitude.
Yeah. Then Lord Vishnu, having heard all of them, now he is going to speak to all of them, keeping Daksha in the forefront. That is what is indicated here. O sinless Vidura, O Anaga, the Supreme Lord, the soul of all beings, Sarvatma, the enjoyer of sacrifice, Sarva Bhagabhuk. Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 or 9. Aham yi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha. That is one verse. And bhoktara yajnatapasam. That is one more verse from chapter 6. Lord Krishna indicates in Bhagavad Gita that I am the enjoyer of the sacrifice in that sense. So the Supreme Lord, who is the soul of all beings, Paramatma, who is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, pleased with his share of the sacrifice, addressing Daksha, spoke. He is speaking to everyone, but primarily Daksha. As Bhagavan, the Lord is complete in his bliss and does not need anything, and as the soul of all beings is the enjoyer of all portions of the sacrifice. Supreme Lord is Atma Rama, he does not need anything from outside. He is completely satisfied. But still, for the pleasure of people who perform yajna, Lord accepts the oblations that are offered in the yajna as a matter of recognition or respect or concern for the performer. Otherwise, the Supreme Lord does not need anything. When we perform yajna, that is meant for our benefit only, not for benefit of the Supreme Lord in the sense. So, however, he appeared pleased. Iva. Priyamana Iva Anaga. Actually was not pleased, but he appeared his disposition is as if he is pleased. So in that way. However, he appeared pleased with his own particular share of the sacrifice. Actually was not pleased because of the offense to Lord Shiva. He is not at all pleased with Daksha or with the assembled personalities there because they have committed offense to Lord Shiva. That did not please Lord Vishnu. O sinless Vidura, you are without offense. Therefore, the Lord is pleased with you. You indeed are the example of a proper person. So, Lord is not pleased with Daksha, but my dear Vidura, he is very much pleased with you. That's why Lord came to your home. So, something like that. Indirectly indicating that Maitreya is speaking here. So, Prabhupada writes in the purport that he is self-satisfied, self-sufficient, but he accepts the offerings of Yajna because of his friendly attitude towards all living entities. So his acceptance of what we offer is for our benefit. Of course, in the Yajna it is the oblations, and every day we also offer Bhoga in the temple daily 6 times, in our homes maybe daily 3 times or whatever possible accordingly. So Lord accepts in order to benefit us, not that he is hungry of something. He himself is self-satisfied. He does not need anything. So like that. So that Supreme Lord, who is the soul of everyone, who is the self-satisfied, is speaking now from 50 to 45 verses he speaks, and then things will continue on. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, text number 50. Aham Brahma cha Sharvascha Jagata Karanam Param Atmeshwara Upadrishta Swayandruk Avisheshana.
Lord Vishnu replied, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and I are the supreme causes, a cause of the material manifestation. I am the super soul, the self-sufficient witness. But impersonally, there is no difference between Brahma, Lord Shiva, and myself.
The Lord says, I am the supreme cause of the universe. Aham Jagata Param Karanam. So Lord says that I am the supreme cause of the entire universe. And then I am the Lord of the soul, Atmeshwara. So every living entity is there, but the Lord of all the living entities is Paramatma, that is Supreme Lord. And I am the witness, Upadrishta, as Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna says, Upadrishta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. So something like that. So he is witness and is self-revealing. Swayamdruk. So these are the different attributes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Lord Vishnu is saying that I, Brahma and Shiva, Aham Brahmasha Sharvasha, are non-different from each other. Avisheshana. Visheshana means some specific qualities. Avisheshana means there are no distinguishing qualities. We three are actually same only. So one should not distinguish between three of us. The same concept we also discussed when Atri Muni performed austerities to get a child who will be like the control of the universe. Here also the same principle is being presented. So Lord Vishnu is saying that, my dear Daksha, do not commit this same offense once again. Thus Lord is giving some instructions. Swayamdruk means self-revealing. There is no difference between three of us. Avisheshana. So in that way. So don't see distinguish the differences between us, myself, Brahma and Shiva. We three are same. And therefore, do not commit offense against Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. Never ever make that distinction.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Really, the translation says that, but impersonally, there is no difference between Brahma, Lord Shiva, and myself. So, how to understand this?
We'll see the next couple of verses, then we'll get more understanding. Just Lord is starting the introduction. He'll continue. He'll explain more elaborately. Then we get more understanding.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
So impersonally, why there is no difference, and personally, how there is a difference. Both the things we'll understand in the couple of verses later.
The statement itself, I'm not understanding. Personally, there is no difference.
We'll wait. We'll see. In the next verse is what Lord says. Lord Vishnu himself will say something. So here, Srila Prabhupada quotes various references from Bhagavad Gita. How the Supreme Lord is Jagata Karanam Param, how he is Atmeshwara, Upadrishta, Swayandrik, etc. All these things he says. Quoting Shankaracharya, he says that Narayana Paravyakta. Narayana is transcendental. Narayana Para. And Bhagavad Gita 10.2 he says that Aham Adesha Devanam, Maharshi Namcha Sarvasha. And 10.8 Prabhupada says that Aham Sarvasya Prabho. So everything is created from me. And even quoting from Bhagavatam first verse or Veda Sutra, Janma Dasya Yata. And then from Upanishads, Prabhupada writes Yatava Imani Bhutani Jayante. So like that, Prabhupada quotes different Vedic literatures in order to indicate that how the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the source of everything. Param Karanam. Ishvara Paramakrishna, Sachidananda Vigra, Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karanam, something like that. And at the end, he says that Sarvam Kalau Idam Brahma. From the highest vision, nothing is beyond Brahman, and therefore Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are certainly non-different from him. Why and how we will see in the next verses. I don't remember. You can open 10.8 Bhagavad Gita. There it comes. This same verse comes there also. Prabhupada quotes all the different Upanishads there in that purport. Exactly.
It's not there in Upanishad.
No, not Upanishad. Other Upanishads. Maybe Shweta Avtara or other Upanishads. So, Lord continues. Atmamayam samavishya soham gunamayim dvija srijan rakshan haran vishwam dadre samyam kriyochitam. Yeah,
The
please.
Lord continued, My dear Daksha, Dvija, I am the original personality of Godhead. But in order to create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy. And according to the different grades of activity, my representations are differently named.
Situated in my energy, Atma Mayam Samavishta. Sambhavami Atma Maya. If you remember Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter. So something like that. Situated in my energy, in my own internal energy, we can take like that. Atma Maya means Yoga Maya. Composed of the gunas. Of course, Lord is situated himself in Yoga Maya. But when it comes to material world, the Yoga Maya's expansion in the form of Mahamaya. So consisting of three modes. Situated in my energy, composed of the three gunas, Gunamayim, for purpose of creating, maintaining and destroying the universe. I take on different names according to the different variety of activity. It is I who eternally situated within my internal energy known as Yogamaya. For the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation, I accept Mahamaya consisting of three modes and I perform different activities such as creation, maintenance and annihilation. Srijan, Rakshan, Haran, Vishwam. And I'll be called with different names. It is I who expand as Brahma for the purpose of creation. It is I who expand as Vishnu for the purpose of maintenance. It is I who expand as Shiva for the purpose of destruction. So I'll be called with different names according to the characteristics of the activity. So it's like that.
Yeah, the tattvas are different. Like when Vishnu is expanding into Shiva and Brahma, for creation and destruction. I mean, we see that. Because Shiva is Shambhu Tattva, Brahma is the Jiva Tattva. Still, there are expansions of course, Mame Vamsha Jivaloka, that's one understanding we have. We are also part of Krishna. But this is like he's speaking directly that I am expanding into these two.
Yes, we will see in the next verse. Still Lord Vishnu continues. He's just getting into subject matter. So what it means? Somebody might question, Lord, but the Supreme Lord is you only. You are the only one person. How can you say that we three are same? According to the scriptures, the Supreme Lord is you only. We never heard there are multiple Supreme Lords except Panchatattva. So then Lord replies, that person who is situated in the material world but is famous for being beyond the gunas is I alone. That one person whom Shastra calls the Supreme Lord is me alone. Okay. But according to the activity of creation, maintenance or destruction, I take the names of the creator, maintainer or destroyer. It is I who perform the activities known as creator, creation, maintenance and destruction by expanding myself as Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So like that. Just like the same point just now Mataji mentioned that Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loka Jiva Bhut Sanatana. Prabhupada writes the same thing in the purport. So of course that principle is there and that will be elaborated in the next verse, couple of words later. Like that Lord expands into unlimited variety of living entities, which are categorized as 8.4 million species. So all these in one sense, part and parcels of Supreme Lord only. But at the same time, they are also different from the Lord. Like Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. The source is same for all, but their manifestations will be identified with different designations. So that though it is there externally, but Lord still speaks from the point of view of the source that he will mention in the next verse. So he is telling that it is I who expand as Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva for the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation. And now next he says Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vede Nagnonu Pashyati.
The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent.
The ignorant person Vedena Agnya Anupashyati. The ignorant person sees difference. So now Lord comes to the point that according to me, Lord says, we three are same, but the less intelligent people will see three of us different. The ignorant person sees difference between the jivas and me. Here now the point comes to jivas and the Supreme Lord only. The ignorant person sees the difference between the jivas and me. Tasmincha bhutani. Who am non-dual, who is advitiye, who has no dvitiya, who has no second. Who is absolute Brahman, Kevala Brahmani, and who is also called as Paramatma, Paramatmani. What to speak of seeing difference between Brahma, Shiva and me? The ignorant sees difference between me and the different living entities. Then they definitely see the difference between Brahma, Shiva and me also. According to Lord, there is no difference between me and Jivas. Then what to speak of the difference between me and Brahma, Shiva, who are much better than ordinary Jivas, who are much closer to me than ordinary Jivas.
It's a tricky thing. Then you cannot go and worship each and every jiva.
Wait, see, you have to understand from philosophical point of view.
What is the point of this statement? If we take this statement literally, then you would have to go and worship each and every jiva as the supreme
Wait,
Lord.
wait, 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 wait.
That That's what is expected, right? We
Yeah.
have to worship. I mean, not worship, but at least respect all the living entities.
Wait, let
Everyone
us
of
discuss.
God's presence.
But how are Brahma, who is a Jiva, taking the form of Hiranyagarbha, and Lord Shiva, who is touched by the gunas, that too Tamoguna, even though being Ishvara, even though being called as Ishvara, non-different from you? So Lord, what is this? You are going against your philosophy. So from the very beginning, we have heard that Madhvacharya were coming in the line of Madhvacharya. Dvaitavada. Different. We have heard so much about difference from the very beginning. Because we are, what do you can say? We are too much disturbed by Advaitavad. Everything is same. We don't want that philosophy. And you are again saying the same philosophy. What is this? Somebody might question.
Somebody, leave.
All of us might question. So this is explained through Kaumatika Nyaya. Kaumatika Nyaya, I will see. The ignorant person sees difference even between Jivas and me. What to speak of seeing difference between Brahma, Shiva and me? But the wise person does not. The Jivas are non-different from me because they are my Tatasa Shakti. And Shakti is non-different from the Shaktiman. If ordinary Jivas are non-different from me, then how come Brahma, Shiva are different from me? They are actually Gunavataras. The Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, who are taking care of the responsibility of creation, maintenance, and relation, are actually the three Gunavataras. If the three of them are Gunavataras, how can be they different? That's what Lord told in the first chapter also. Same thing is telling now also. Krishna, so much philosophy. Okay. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, His Grace Radha Gopinath Dhruva always says, you must have heard so many times. There is one verse describes about a devotee when he reaches to the topmost stage. A devotee who comes to the topmost prema platform, what kind of behavior a devotee exhibits? पूरा अच्छे से बताइए वही वर्स you can tell. Radha Gopinath Dhruva tells this verse every class. स्थावर जंगम देखी ना देखी तारामूर्ति सर्वत्र प्रसार होइबे इष्ट देव spurti. A devotee in the prema platform, when he sees Tavara and Jangama, the inanimate objects and the animate living entities, the moving living entities and non-moving stone, earth, all these things. Na deki taramurti. He does not see them as they are. Sarvatra prasara hoibe ishta deva spurti. Wherever he sees, he only sees the Supreme Lord. Little go back to Bhakti Shastri.
So who made this statement?
Wait.
9 point.
Where?
Chapter 4. Krishna says, no.
That is Parashakti or Parashakti?
He talks about him being here, at the same time not being here.
Okay, that is a different thing. We are not getting to that philosophy. This is simple thing. So Stavara Jangama Deki, Nadeki, Taramurti, Sarvatra Prasara Hoibe, Ishta Deva Spurti. Yeah, nectar of instructions and nectar of devotion. All of you must have studied about three category of devotees. Who are they? Can you please define who is Uttama?
This is Pandita Samdarshana, basically.
Much more than that. What Pandita Samdarshana? That is only Jnani. Uttama Bhakta.
See the Lord everywhere.
He sees. That's what it is. So if one sees Lord everywhere in the inanimate object and animate person,
You see the
then
Lord,
they can't see the Lord in Brahma and Shiva.
worship and that does not mean both are not on the same platform.
Why worship coming here? Does he tell that okay, you worship them also like you worship me?
This is just about seeing how things are.
Seeing and respecting them.
My question was from the Tattva point. When we say Shambhu Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, four tattvas. Now Krishna is saying that and them, same.
Okay.
So what tattva
Where from Shambhu Tattva manifested? So
Still
in
it
that
is
way,
different now. Like Prabhupada often explains with the example of milk and curd.
Mm.
Curd is curd. Curd cannot be milk. Although curd has come from milk, which agree, but curd can never be milk. So once it is being like once we are Jiva forever. We cannot be supreme, right? So I'm talking like that. So when Krishna is saying,
okay, there is a simple proverb in India. In all vernacular languages, it must have been there. Maybe different way it is being used. Aditi Devo Bhava. What do you mean by that?
the guests are the lords. I mean,
Huh?
Deva.
What do you mean by that? That is okay. That is explanation. What you are supposed to respond to that.
Worship them.
No need to
Greet
worship.
them,
Greet them. Treat them very nicely. Just like you treat a very VIP person. Similarly, even though a person may be ordinary, but if he's a guest, treat them like a VIP person. Something like that. Treat them like the Supreme Lord. In your home, you have your home deities. How do you treat them? So like that, you should treat the guest also. If a unknown Atiti, you are supposed to do that much, then how much you must be doing a known great personality like Brahma and Shiva? From that point of view. See, we are not talking from the point of view of ultimate going back to Godhead. So from that point of view, you want to take shelter. That is Vishnu. That's okay. But in dealings, how to respect everyone. So in that way.
Yeah, your explanation of the energies is perfect because we are also we are marginal energies. So yes, we are part of Krishna. That's undoubtedly true.
Unless until we come to this point, Stavara Jangama Deki Nadeki Taramurti, no entry. Yes.
वालों के साथ हो जाता है फिर भी घर वालों के साथ नहीं होता.
वो भी होना चाहिए एक दिन तभी. With that, then we are done with all. Even for a jnani also, normal jnani also, the rule is very high. Brahmabhuta prasannatma nasoceti nakanshiti samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktin labate param vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi asini sunicheva svapakecha pandita samdarshana. This is the Jivan Mukta platform. When they practice jnana, the final state they come to, when they have self-realized. When we give a tagline, when you go to university, complete your undergraduation, you will be given the certificate. You are given certificate means you are thoroughly educated in that subject matter. Whatever you have studied 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever kind of undergraduation, you are expected to have that subject matter. So when a jnani comes to the platform of Jivan Mukta platform, when he was given the certificate, okay, now you are Jivan Mukta. So what kind of behavior can be expected from that person? This one, this is the behavior. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavyasam Tunicheva Pratakacha Pandita Samdarshana. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma Nasocati Nakanshati Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labate Param. So it is like that. If एक ज्ञानी के लिए उतना ऊंचा स्थान है तो भक्त के लिए और कितना रहेगा? So it is like that. So we cannot, one should not distinguish between inanimate and animate object only. Then what to speak of the great revered personalities like Brahma and Shiva?
We have to distinguish, no, you are animate, this is inanimate, but both are energies of Krishna. That is the correct understanding.
आप डिस्टिंग्विश करते रहो, इधर ही रहेंगे. डिस्टिंग्विशन नहीं चलता रहेगा. That is to start, Roji. To start with, we have to distinguish. But that is, distinguishing should not keep it along with us till the end. Ultimately, for today, we may say that okay, something is matter, something is spiritual. For an initial devotee, it was told that whatever activities you do outside, everything is material activities. So whatever you do when you come to temple, that is only spiritual activities. Whatever you do when you come in the association of devotee, that is only spiritual activity. Remaining all are material activities. Don't go to this function, that function. Don't meet this person, that person. Don't go to movie here, there. Everything is Maya. That will. That is to create fear within us in the beginning. Ultimately, when one comes to the highest platform, this person will not see. He sees everything as manifestation of Supreme Lord. Yad vibhuti mastatvam tattateva vagachatvam. Everything is Lord's Teja and Amsha only. So where is matter? Where is Maya? For a pure devotee, there is no Maya. Everything is Krishna's. This is Tavara Jangama Deki Nadeki Taramurti Sarvatar Prasaya Vishwadevas. Everywhere this is the Supreme Lord only. So what Maya is there for him?
So apparently there is no matter as such. Everything is spiritual only. Because we are using all this matter also in the service of the Lord. It's spiritual only.
Yeah, that's what.
So there is no material. There is. Perspectives.
If we come to that platform, then there is no matter.
That platform. Because we are not. We are seeing the distinct.
That platform is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Naito, when we are completely surrendered, Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam, then there is no matter. If we are Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam, there is no matter. ये तो है ना देवर्षि भूतातुर्नाम च पितॄणाम न किंकरोणायं ऋणीच राजन् सर्वात्मनाया शरणं शरण्यं गतो मुकुन्दं परिवृत्त कर्तुम्. Famous verse.
It all depends on how pure you are.
How much surrendered one is.
Perspectives, different people's perspectives.
It's not perspective. This is the end goal. We have to come to that point.
Yeah, so we have to come to that.
We have to. We are supposed to aspire to come to that point. So, Hare Krishna Madhavi Mataji, you are able to follow?
Yes, Prabhuji, but I have still some doubt that like when we are saying or where Lord is saying that we should not differentiate and even the living entities they should see equal and then where is the question of Brahma and Shiva. But we see Prabhuji that when it is a question of Maya, we see that Lord Vishnu, he will never come under the effect of Maya because he is the Mahesh, he is Mayadish. But we see his Gunavataras, especially like Brahmaji and Shiva, they come in contact with Maya or under effect of Maya. Sometimes they do exhibit such behavior where they are under the effect of Maya. So then when we see there are some such differences, still how can we, take that they both are at the level of, means we should see them equally and we should not differentiate.
Okay, now one simple clarification from my side. Will Brahma go back to Godhead?
If he...
Will Brahma go back to Godhead? Yes or no?
Not every Brahma.
Forget about every Brahma. I am talking about our Brahma.
How can I say, Prabhuji? Means abhi the term unka chal raha hai, and who am I to comment on that? Means I can't.
Is Brahma a devotee?
Yes, of course. He's a pure devotee.
A devotee will go back to Godhead?
Yes.
If not today, tomorrow, at least.
Yes.
Okay. Once he goes to spiritual world, what difference whether one day he was affected by Maya or not? What difference it makes?
That time it will not make difference.
That should be the understanding. Like that, a Uttama Bhakta sees everywhere. Though apparently the people of this world might be so materialistic, so envious, but Uttama Bhakta sees that okay, today he may not be a devotee, tomorrow he will become devotee, and day after tomorrow he will go to spiritual world. Why do I find fault with that person?
Yeah. It is not for finding fault, Prabhuji, but...
No. I am giving a general example in relation to people
Yeah.
around us. I am not taking example of Brahma and Shiva, but in general, the Uttama Bhakta sees like this. So today he may be like this, but tomorrow he will become devotee and day after tomorrow he will go to spiritual world. Then why should I find his faults today? This is what is going to come in the next chapter. We are going to talk about that. Dhruva. Suruchi found fault with Dhruva. Eventually she had to go through reaction. That is what will happen. A Uttama Bhakta will never make such a mistake to go through unnecessary fault finding and subsequent.
Yeah, that is a Prabhupada's
punishment.
Like, we are just separated by time. So everyone is a devotee.
Still, we may say, our Mataji, Preetanayaka Mataji might say that, no, how can we do that? Everyone is not friendly with me. They are always spreading rumors, this, that. They are people, some people, not everyone. So They are not dealing, they are not behaving properly, this, that might say. But it is up to them. We only have to see them good. So in that way. So that is understanding.
Okay. So that is the meaning of what in 2-3 verses back we read that impersonally there is no difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma and the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. See, from the physical manifestation, we may see them as the creator, Brahma, destroyer, Shiva. Shiva is the in charge of the tamoguna activities. Brahma is the in charge of the passionate activities. Brahma also made a mistake of following after his own daughter. Some he committed a mistake of mistaking Krishna to be normal boy, something like that. We may say they are all okay. They are all leelas, so we don't have to take them so seriously. But since they are gunavataras, so they are supposed to be seen. Lord says that what to speak of Brahma Shiva, one need to see each and every living entity as an expansion of Supreme Lord. Then what to speak of Brahma and Shiva? Only an ignorant will see the distinction. A knowledgeable person will never see the distinctions. So in that way.
Okay, so
That means
personally
basically,
there will be, yeah.
Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana means everyone is my Amsha only. So Amsha is as good as the source only, na? One sun ray and sun both are same only. What difference is there in that? Minutely they may be, quantitatively they may be minute, but both are same only. So we need to focus on the similarity. So that will be beneficial for us. If we start focusing on the differences, we are in, we take the position of a judge and we remain here only, continue to be judge.
Okay, so that means personally when everyone accepts body, there may be some external differences, but impersonally means if we take out that body, then there is no difference. That's what.
No, here surrounding us in the material world, there could be some distinction, there could be some shortcomings. But once Jiva goes back to spiritual world, what differences matters? Today we may
Okay.
see difference, but tomorrow when they go to spiritual world, what differences matter? Nothing matters. So in that way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
It's a part and parcel.
Part and parcel. Chota mota.
Parcel means part, understand. We are part of Krishna.
That is British language. Prabhupada used that as it is. Whatever he learned in the college, he used it. Part and parcel, basically Sanskrit we call it Amsha, Amsha, Amsha. Amsha means a part. And Amsha, Amsha means a part of the part. For example, in the clock, one circle is divided into 12 parts. And every part further divided into, okay, 5 minutes we may say. And every part, and every part further divided into 60. And every part further divided into 60. So 1 hour, 60 minutes, 60 seconds like that. So part means direct division. Part and part is in subdivisions within the division.
That is part and parcel.
Same thing.
Once I asked Sukumaran Krishna, he said part there and then we were parcel yours.
Time pass. Yata Pumanna Swagneshu Shirapani Adishu Kwashit Parakya Buddhim Kurute Evam Bhuteshu Matpara. Yeah, please. Vineet Prabhu, please read.
Person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, from anything or any living entity.
Yeah, here Lord Vishnu is saying that my devotee does not see difference. Na parakya buddhim kurute. Mat para, those who are completely surrendered unto me, they do not see any differences between himself and all other living entities. Evam bhuteshu. Just as a person does not differentiate between himself and his various limbs, such as head and hand. Na swa angeshu shira pani adishu kvachit. If our head is paining, what do we say? My head is paining. If there is some pain in the hand or everywhere, my hands are paining, my legs are paining, my back is paining. Everything is my. From our point of view, from the practical day-to-day dealings. But when it comes to a devotee, if somebody else's head is paining, the devotee will say that my head is paining. He does not see the pain of others and his own different. And a devotee does not see others' happiness and his own happiness as different. A devotee always finds happiness, his own happiness in the happiness of others, and he experiences the pain of others. So that is the nature of a Uttama Bhakta. Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of that. When he went to West, people in general, when they will go to West, they see the phantasmagoria, the willow the wisps, willow the wisp. What you can say? Phantasmagoria, na? Phantasmagoria.
Dreams.
Not exactly dreams. That is phantasmagoria. Willow the wisp. Prabhupada writes. But when Prabhupada went to US, he was actually crying. These people are immersed in deep darkness, deepest level of the darkness. He was crying and he was praying to Lord Krishna, please deliver them, like Prahlad Maharaj. So that is the vision of a Uttama Bhakta. And our vision is no, the vision of the enjoyment, materialistic vision. So it is like that. The devotee sees himself as non-different from all beings. The devotee seeing non-difference is taking others' happiness and distress as his own. This is the nature of a devotee. Na para akya buddhim. This is the nature of a devotee. So that's what Lord Vishnu is saying here. So Prabhupada writes in the Parapart quoting from 518, then he explained that devotees are compassionate to every conditioned soul and therefore they are known as aparakya buddhi. Because devotees are learned and know that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They preach Krishna consciousness to everyone so that everyone may be happy. If a particular part of the body is diseased, the whole attention of the whole body goes to that part. Similarly, devotees care for any person who is forgetful of Krishna and therefore in the material consciousness. The equal vision of the devotee is that he works to get all living entities back to Godhead. When our head is paining, our legs are paining and hands are paining, we immediately rush to the doctor so that we can cure our problems. So we want to be healthy always. But a Uttama Bhakta want to be healthy cumulatively. He does not want to see anybody suffering in this material world, being forgetful of Krishna. So that is the nature of a devotee. So something like that. Then Lord Vishnu continues. Trayanam eka bhavanam yona pashyati vaibidam sarvabhutatmanam brahman sashantim adhigacchati.
The Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme, and who knows Brahman actually realizes peace, others do not.
Oh Daksha, the person who does not see difference between three of us, the soul of all beings, who have one nature, attains peace. Sa shantim adhigacchati. Bhagavad Gita also it is there, na? Shantim apnoti. Brahma Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam Jnatvam Shanti Marchati. Later on in 6th chapter also somewhere Shanti Mapnoti, like that the word comes. So many places Shanti Madhigachati words, this phrase comes in the Bhagavad Gita also. So anyone here, Shanti means not the peace as it is promoted outside in the material world. Shanti means According to Bhagavad Gita, the understanding of Shanti means they will go back home back to Godhead. The devotees will go back home back to Godhead. The Jnanis and Yogis enter into Brahman or Sayujya. That is the meaning of Shanti.
So when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Shanti, he meant that.
Ah, yes. Because fifth chapter is about Jnanis, na? Sixth chapter is about Yogis. So Shanti Madhigachati means they will attain Sayujya, Brahma Sayujya.
And so for devotees, we have to take it that way, that we will go.
For devotees, it is Vaikuntha. Right. The result of seeing non-difference is stated in this verse. So it is like that. So ultimately, Lord is saying that unless until we come to that point, we will not obtain entry into spiritual world. So instead of finding differences, focus on the similarities. That is better for our journey back home, back to Godhead.
We can see the goodness in others as long as they are good with us. Somebody behaves against our will, that's when the challenge starts.
Yeah, because still we have the material vision. That's where the problem. So ultimately, one has to come to this point. See, one example we can think of Sri Laddas Tagore. How did he dealt with all different personalities as he is traveling here, there, etc., etc.?
He was beaten 22 places, but still he didn't utter a word.
So ultimately, that is what is expected.
Thank you.
To enter into spiritual world. It may not be physically, but at least on the mental platform, one should come to that kind of consciousness. So he was physically beaten, but we may be verbally beaten in our daily dealings. Our response should be like that of Sri Laddas Tagore. That means, okay, we are done with material activities. We are ready to go back to Godhead. Otherwise, if we want justice, either by ourselves or by somebody else, we are still here only.
Decide that क्या है? Hammering.
Now, Maitreya Muni continues what happened afterwards. Maitreya Uvacha Evam Bhagavatadishta Prajapatipatirharim Architva Kartuna Svena Devan Ubayato Yajat. Yeah, please.
The sage Maitreya said, thus Daksha, the head of all Prajapatis, having been nicely instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshipped Lord Vishnu. After worshipping him by performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, Daksha separately worshipped Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva.
Yeah. Maitreya said, being instructed by the Lord Daksha, after worshipping the Supreme Lord Harim Architva through a specific sacrifice, then he worshipped all the Devatas headed by Brahma and Shiva by main and subsidiary sacrifices. And Prabhupada becomes very happy with this verse. He talks about this worship in the entire purport. He says that Lord Vishnu should be offered everything and his prasada should be distributed to all the Devatas. This practice is still followed in the temples of Jagannath Puri. So there are many temples of the Devatas around the main temple of Jagannath, and the prasada which is offered first to Jagannath is distributed to all the Devatas. The deity of Bagalin is worshipped with prasada of Vishnu, and also in the famous Lord Shiva temple of Bhuvaneshwara, the prasada of Lord Vishnu of Lord Jagannatha is offered to the deity of Lord Shiva. At least in the past, when there was no conflict between Vaishnavas and Shaivites, there was a temple next to Bindu Sarovar of Jagannath, Ananta Vasudev temple. There the Bhoga used to be offered, then Mahaprasad used to be brought to Bhuvaneshwar temple and then offered to Lord Shiva, and then distributed to all the pilgrims. But now things are not so friendly, so both happen separately. It's like that.
Happens in Nandgaon temple, Krishna's temple. There is Shivji sitting on the side. So Krishna's comes in first.
Of course. There Nandagaon temple is the main temple, na? But here in Bhubaneswar, now the prominence of Bhubaneswar temple has become more than Anantavadyo temple. So in that way.
What is this? The deity of Vaibhav? What is that?
Oh, yeah, na? What is this? The Durga Devi temple, Parvati Devi temple is there, na? Oh, what do you... Bimal Prasad, Bimala Devi. Bimala Devi. So she also has another name in Odia, Baga, this whatever is written here. That is Odia name. Bagalin. Bimala Devi is what we, same Parvati Devi only, which is called as Bagalin in their local language. This is the Vaishnava principle. The Vaishnavas does not deride even ordinary living entities, including the small ant. Everyone is offered proper respect according to his position. The offering, however, is in relation to the center, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. The devotee who is highly elevated sees the relationship to Krishna in everything. He does not see anything as being independent of Krishna. That is his vision of oneness. So it is like that. Rudram cha svena bhagena hi upadava samahita karmanodavasa vasanena somapan itaranapi uddavasya saharatvigbis sasnau avabrutantata.
All respect, Daksha worshipped Lord Shiva with his share of the remnants of the Yajna. After finishing the ritualistic sacrificial activities, he satisfied all the other demigods and the other people assembled there. Then, after finishing all these duties with the priest, he took a bath and was fully satisfied.
With concentrated mind, Daksha worshipped Lord Shiva. After worshipping Lord Vishnu, then he worshipped Lord Shiva with each share of worship, with offerings to Lord Shiva basically. Then worshipping other devatas like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu by concluding rites, he then bathed along with the priests. The final bath is done. After finishing with these concluding rites, he took bath, which is generally called as Avabhratasnan. Avabhratasnan. Avabhrutam tata. It is called as Avabhratasnan.
So that is after
Concluding.
the
Concluding the entire event. Tasmapi anubhavena स्वेनैवावाप्तरादसे धर्म एव मतिन्दात्वा त्रिदशास्ते दिवं ययो.
Thus, worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu by the ritualistic performance of sacrifice, Daksha was completely situated on the religious path. Moreover, all the demigods who had assembled at the sacrifice blessed him, and he might increase his piety, and then they left.
After giving Daksha intelligence to act according to Dharma, after he had already attained perfection by worshipping the Lord, the Devatas departed for heaven. So before departing, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma and other Devatas, they kind of offered their benedictions to Daksha. So may Daksha remain with Dharma, good intelligence, may he not commit offense against Lord Shiva or others, something like that. The Devatas gave blessings to Daksha, who had attained perfection. Here perfection means he had successfully completed the sacrifice. He had attained the result of completing this sacrifice for the welfare of the entire universe. In that sense. Evam dakshaya nihitva sati purva kalevaram jajne himavat kshetre menayam iti shushruma.
Like they said, after giving up the body received from Daksha, Dakshayani, his daughter, took her birth in the kingdom of Hima. She was born as the daughter of Hima. I heard this from authoritative sources.
Oh Vidura, iti shushruma. I have heard that the daughter of Daksha, who is known as Sati, on giving up her body, later She was born in the womb of Menaka, the wife of Himalaya. That is Parvati. Menayam stands for Menakayam. Her full name is Menaka. Tamevadaitam bhutya avrunte patimambika ananyabhavaika gatim shakti supteva purusham.
Ambika, goddess Durga, who was known as Dakshayani or Sati, again accepted Lord Shiva as her husband, just as different energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act during the course of a new creation.
Okay, not Lord. Sati, who had attachment to no one else, again chose Lord Shiva as her one goal and has her beloved husband. So Sati, who gave up her body in that fire sacrifice, later on she was born as the daughter of Menaka, the wife of King Himalayas, and later on she performed severe austerities and attained Lord Shiva as her own goal and as her beloved husband. She was like the sleeping energy at the time of universal dissolution, who then takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is another activity, like when the annihilation happens, the Maya takes rest. When again new creation starts, she performs activities. Similarly, after her being burnt by Agni in the Daksha sacrifice, she remained, in a sense, she is in kind of yoga nidra or something like that. She became inactive. And again, having taken birth through Menaka and Himalaya, she again resumed her activities of serving Lord Shiva as Lord Shiva's devoted wife. So in that way.
So in between, there was
No. It is just like that.
just
See, she is not different from Maya Devi, na? So when Mahavishnu glances on Maya Devi, Maya becomes active and all the universe are created and everything activities are going on. When Lord withdraw the glance, there will be annihilation. So Maya becomes sleepy, inactive. Same way after her death during that Yajna, invoking fire and burnt herself, she became inactive. In the invisibly, she is not performing any activity. She is not there. She is nowhere. She is not performing any activity. But having taken birth from Menaka and Himalayan, having married Lord Shiva, she resumed her service towards Lord Shiva. In between, there is no service to Lord Shiva through her. She was not there. She was not serving Lord Shiva in that sense.
but her service is there.
What service?
As a Maya Devi.
No. Here we are not. That is an example. But as a wife, she is not serving. So in that way.
So who's Uma then?
उनका ही अलग अलग नाम है. There are 11 Rudras and 11 Rudranis. So different names are there. Avrunte means chose. She had love for no one else. Lord Shiva was her only goal. Eka Gatim. At the time of devastation, the sleeping Shakti takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, who is awake. And then she becomes revived. So Mahavishnu, who was in Yoga Nidra, kind of sleeping and also awake. But after annihilation, Maya takes shelter of Lord Vishnu. Maya enters into the body of Karnadaksha Vishnu. When next creation about to begin, then Maya again comes out of the skin pores of Mahavishnu. Starts resuming her activities by the glance of Lord Vishnu. Same way, here that example is quoted in order to explain her service towards Lord Shiva just as a wife serves husband. So in that way. So Prabhupada writes, so just like Durga serves Lord, every living entity should serve the Supreme Lord. Because every living entity is an expansion in that sense. Parashakti, Aparashakti of Maya Devi. So like that. Etad Bhagavata Shambho Karma Daksha Dvaradruha Shrutam Bhagavata Shishyat Uddhavan Me Bruhaspate.
Said, my dear Vidura, I heard the story of the Daksha Yajna, which was devastated by Lord Shiva from Uddhava, a great devotee and disciple of Brihaspati.
Yeah. Oh Vidura, I heard the story of Lord Shiva, destroyer of the Daksha sacrifice, from the devotee Uddhava, who is a disciple of Brihaspati. And finally, the last verse of this chapter, the Falashruti. Idam pavitram paramesha cheshtitam yashasya mayushyama agaugamarchanam yo nityadakarnya naro nu kirtayet duno tyagam kaurava bhakti bhavana.
The great sage Maitreya concluded, if one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion the story of Daksha Yajna as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence, O son of Guru.
Oh Vidura, the person who after constantly hearing Vishnu's and Shiva's pure activities, which give fame and long life, Yashasya and Ayushya, and destroy piles of sin, Aga Oga Marshanam, narrates the story with devotion, destroys all his sins. So basically two things. One should hear this and one should narrate the story. Then all these results such as Yashasvi, Ayushman Baba, Yashasvi Baba, and Aga Oga Marshanam and Agam Dunoti, all these things will take place. Something like that. So these are the different things from Daksha episode we have been discussing for last couple of months. So any questions from Daksha episode?
Who narrated this to my
Uddhava spoke to Maitreya. When we don't know, but somewhere he must have spoke.
because as far as I know, Uddhava and Maitreya together heard from some.
That is at the end they discussed with each other, but they must have met in between also.
Because we were talking about the respect part of also.
Uddhava, Maitreya, and Parashara. Three of them are the disciples of Brihaspati. So,
But Uddhava always keeps Maitreya on a higher thing level. He says that I'm not supposed to narrate things.
of course, from practical point of view, it is like that, but in one sense, sometimes
they are
it's kind of discussion, na? It is not necessarily Guru Shishya. It's like both of them are co-disciples of Brihaspati, so they might be discussing about some past times with each other. So it's like that. No questions?
Just if you have to say something about the entire episode of Daksha for us to know what to.
You read that book, Bhagavatam the Seeker Journey. What lessons we can learn from this episode? Not that Tattva. So what mistake Daksha made and we are not supposed to make. The entire fourth canto, fifth canto will teach us when a sadhaka begins sadhana, what are the different obstacles that can come in our sadhana. It starts with Daksha, Sati, and now we are going to discuss about Suruchi, Dhruva. So all these personalities are teaching us what mistakes we may do and how to overcome them.
Always this kind of filtration is asked from the devotees. You go through this.
So now with the completion of that episode of Daksha, now we are going to begin the new episode known as Dhruva Pakyana. Starting with chapter 8 all the way up to chapter 12, the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj will be narrated. The first one is chapter 8. Dhruva Maharaja leaves home for the forest. In the 8th chapter, Dhruva, burned by the poison of his stepmother's words and inspired by the nectar of his mother's words, pleases the Lord by performing austerities in Madhuvan. So these are the different things that are discussed in this chapter. So here we have chapter breakdown. This is a big chapter. About 82 verses are there. So we will discuss slowly.
Giving us the break.
You will see the slides. So now in the first verse, as a matter of continuation, Maitreya Muni will be speaking about few more sons of Brahma, because in the past we have seen that many children Brahma created, and after the creation of Swayambhu Manu Satrupa, so they begot 5 children: Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, and Uttanapada and Privrata. In the first chapter of the 4th canto, we have discussed about the children of Akuti and Yajna, Daksha, Akuti and Ruchi, that is Yajna and Dakshina, and their children, what were they called? Some names are there. And then Devahuti, Kardama, they begot 9 daughters. They married to 9 Mansaputras of Brahma. They begot many children. And then Prasuti and Daksha, they begot 16 daughters. 13 were given to Dharma, and 1 was given to Agni, 1 was given to Pitrus, 1 was given to Lord Shiva. Only she did not beget children. As a result of why it happened like that, we discussed the remaining 6 chapters. So in addition to these children, there are few more children. Their details are mentioned quickly in the first 10 verses. Then Dhruva Maharaj pastimes will begin. So in the first verse, there are few sons of Brahma who remained as celibates. Their list is given. Maitreya Uvacha Shankadya Naradascha Rubur Hamso Runiriyata Naite Grahan Brahmsuta Hi Avasan Urdvaretasa.
The great sage Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumara sages headed by Sanaka as well as Narada, Ribu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhvareta or Naishtika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates.
Yeah. So here Maitreya is saying that the 4 Kumaras headed by Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sant Kumara, as well as Narada, Rubu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati. These are different sons of Brahma who did not get married but became Urdhvareta or Naishtika Brahmacharis. The lineage from Manu's daughters were described, and the lineage from Brahma's sons such as Marichi were also mentioned in the process, because Brahma's sons such as Marichi, Vasishta, they all married 9 daughters of Devahuti and Kardama. So their children are also mentioned. Though Manu's sons should now be described, first the remaining sons of Brahma are described briefly. So now next the description should be Manu's sons, Privrata and Uttanapada. Before starting that, now there is a description about Brahma's other sons. So some of the sons did not marry only. So their details are mentioned here. And then the lineage of Adharma. There are so many Adharmic children that is mentioned in verse number 2 to 5. That also has a connection to the future pastime that are mentioned in the remaining part of the 4th canto. That also we'll see. So this is very interesting and very ghastly also. Reading their names itself create fear. Mrusha Dharmasya Bharya Sid Dambam Mayam Cha Shatruhan Asuta Mitunam Tattu Niritir Jagrihe Praja Tayo Sambhavalobo Nikritischa Mahamate Tabyam Krodascha Himchacha Yadurukti Swasakali.
Another son of Lord Brahma was Religion, whose wife's name was Falsity. From their combination were born 2 demons named Damba or bluffing and Maya or cheating. These 2 demons were taken by a demon named Nirti, who had no children. Maitreya told Vidura, O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and Nikriti, or cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha and Himsa, and from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti.
So there is a similarity between these names and the names we read through in the first chapter. 13 daughters of Daksha were given in marriage to Dharma. So when a person with those qualities executes Dharma, and they will give rise to some of the wonderful qualities, which are the names of their children. Same way here, that is from the dharma point of view. Here, adharma point of view. In one sense, all these people are the presiding deities of those particular qualities. All these personalities, actually, they are there even today. They are the devatas for those qualities. For everything, there is a devata. So these are the devatas for these adharmic qualities and adharmic activities. So in that way. Oh, killer of the enemy. So Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. Indirectly is telling that. So my dear Vidura, you are the killer of enemy. What kind of enemy? Adharma. Because Vidura never practiced in battle. He never went to a battle to fight with. But Vidura always fought with adharma. So with that intention, Maitreya is saying that the one who is reading these verses from this section of Bhagavatam should always fight with these adharmic activities or adharmic qualities. Just like Vidura is always fighting with those adharmic activities, one should always fight with those adharmic activities and adharmic qualities. So with that intention, Maitreya is speaking. Lord Brahma's son, who is known as Adharma, he had a wife named Lying. Mrusha Adharmasya Bharya Asit. Just like Dharma was the son of Brahma, similarly Adharma was also son of Brahma. Adharma was appeared from the back portion of the Brahma. So he married one wife. Her name is Mrusha or Lying. Mrusha means in one sense illusion. So lying is also a kind of illusion. No? Lying means we say something which is not there. So in that way. So then, after their marriage, they gave birth to two twins called as cheating and illusion. Tat mitunam cha asuta dambam mayam. Damba is cheating, maya is illusion. That means when we take shelter of adharma, start speaking lies, then we tend to cheat. We tend to engage in cheating activities and we become bound by illusion. All our conceptions will be that of Maya, that of illusion. There is no reality to all those things. So we are bound by illusory conceptions of life, illusory understanding of life. So like that. With the marriage of adharma and lying, when adharma and lying comes together, it will result in cheating and illusion. So now the interesting thing comes. These two are twins, but out of the two, one is girl, one is boy. So then, Maya is girl, cheating is boy. And Niruti, who had no children, accepted them as his children. Niruti accepted them, the cheating and illusion. Niruti, who is Niruti, we'll see. He is one of the Rakshasas. He is the president deity of Nairuti direction. Vastu, no one knows.
Just for the direction, but okay, the sudden deity can be a demon.
He is a demon. Why it is, I'll tell you. What is supposed to be kept in the Nairuti, what you can say, southwest direction? When you construct a home.
Toilet.
And no, Bruji, not southwest. 1 second. This is southwest. Yeah, southwest. What do you supposed to keep in a home?
Yamadip.
Huh?
Yamadip.
What is that Yamadip?
The Deepam which is offered to Yamaraj. No?
Okay. But when you construct a home, generally the walls, according to Vastu, what the planner will say that in the northwest direction, what should be there? Kitchen, bathroom, hall, dining hall, or bedroom. No one knows any Vastu, little bit Vastu also. No one constructed a home. Huh?
No.
आपका गांव
Prabhuji,
में
what we get from the builder is what we choose.
Exactly.
Beggars are not choosers.
in the northwest corner you are supposed to keep your almara. Your almara. We call almara nahi to what you can say? Your yeah, tajori or whatever the main safe in which you keep all the golden ornaments and the money.
Northwest.
Northwest mein. And the northwest room of the building should be the master bedroom. And that master bedroom should, yeah, that I'll tell you the reason. When you hear the complete understanding, you will get it. And the bed in that bedroom should be very heavy. And among all the material elements, the density of gold is more. People must have known, Matajis know. The gold weights heavy. This much only it will be 10 grams because it density is more. That's why it don't get corrode. Aluminum is lightweight. It gets corrode very fast. But gold does not. So that's why the safe should be there. In that safe, some gold should be there because Niriti is the presiding deity of the Nairuti direction. He is there underground inside. He should not come out. If he comes out, he will create inauspicious in the family. They should be always, the heavy weight should be kept in the direction. And when you construct multi-story building, okay, the northwest direction should be on the top. Sorry, southwest direction should be on the top. And the northeast direction should be at the lower portion.
Northeast.
Yeah, not Ishanya. Ishanya should be very low in your home. And Nairuti should be very high. And when you put some plants in your home, those trees which grow very huge, those trees which go lengthy, they should be kept on the southwest direction. And the small flower plants, which should be below your waist height, should be in the Ishana direction. Yeah, northeast. So it's like that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you said high and low. High and low means ceiling. How do you what I
Ceiling
didn't
also,
get that.
see, in
Ceiling
your
will be the uniform.
no, it should
Ceiling
not
will
be like that. It should not be uniform.
How,
Always
Prabhuji?
the southwest direction should be high. If it is not high, at least keep a iron pole on the southwest direction, Nairuti direction. Generally, when people construct home, they want to have one single room above, single separate room above on the terrace. That room is always constructed in the southwest direction.
Prabhuji, if you're talking of multi-story, uniform ceiling only will give you multi-story. If you have
See,
ceiling high and
Mataji, uniform ceiling also there should be some slope for the rainwater to go down, na?
that is halka, sir.
The halka also slope is slope only. Even it is 1 inch also it is slope only. It is called slope only. The water always should come towards northeast Ishana direction. Because the southwest should be always on the elevated side. We don't get into many details. I am not interested in that Vastu. Niriti is a Rakshasa. He should be subdued by putting heavy weight on the Nairuti direction. Yeah, southwest. That's why the master bedroom with the safe and heavy table, the heavy bed. In the past, the beds are made up of teak wood or sal wood. Sal wood is very heavy. It is very difficult to lift it. In the previous homes, the beds are generally made with sal wood. Nowadays, iron. So
you suggest to have a bedroom in the southwest with a heavy bed. That's what you're saying.
That's what Vasu says, not me. And the almara supposed to have at least little gold because gold is highly heavy dense one. It will subdue Niruti. So the Niruti will not come up. So this Niruti, who had no children, accepted cheating and illusion as his children. But in due course of time, the cheating and illusion married. Brother and sister, they married. And from their marriage, they gave birth to greed and deceit, lobha and nikruti. So cheating and illusion. When a person takes shelter of cheating, why? Want to earn more and more. Oh yeah, greed, out of greed only. And then you will take shelter of deceit, start deceiving others in order to fulfill one's own whimsical desires. And this greed and deceit were twins, and they married. From their combination, there came children named as anger and violence. When their greed is not fulfilled, there will be anger and there will be violence. Krodha and Imcha. Krodhacha, Imsacha. These two are twins again. They married. From their combination, they are born quarrel and profanity. Kali means quarrel. Durukti means harsh speech, strong speech. This is what we see in the villages between new neighbor homes. There is greed, want to cheat others. When they come to know that they are cheating, there is fight, there is anger, there is violence. Then there is quarrel, there is strong exchange of words, harsh speech. Because I am from village, I saw, that's why I'm saying. I don't know how it happens in Mumbai and all. Hota hai, but I saw in the villages. The family of Brahma's son Adharma is described. O killer of the enemy. This indicates to Vidura that people like him kill Adharma. Damba means cheating. Maya means activities suitable for cheating. Though brother and sister they married, since they are Amshas of Adharma. Niriti is in charge of southward direction, which is inauspicious. Nikriti means deceit. So it's like that. Every personality has their own respective traits. But for us, when we take shelter of these qualities, we are sleepily doomed down, super into hellish condition. So now, Kali and Durukti were born. Kali is quarrel, Durukti is harsh speech, and eventually they got married. Duruktau Kaliradatta Bayam Mrutyum cha Sattama Tayocha Mitunam Jajne Yatana Nirayastata. Yeah, please read the translation.
O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech, were born children named Mrityu and Bhiti. Mrityu, fear, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination of Mrityu and Bhiti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell.
Out of greed, I am referring to the previous verse. From there I am continuing. Out of greed, we take the deceiving means. We want to deceive others so that we can fulfill our greed intentions. And when they start noticing that, when they start obstructing, we develop anger. When they say that, if somebody else say that you are greedy, then we don't accept it. We know that we are greedy, but we don't accept. There is anger and we want to harm them. There is violence. And then there is quarrel. Out of anger, we start quarreling with them. We start excuse me. We start speaking harshly. Then when there is a quarrel and harsh speech, that will lead to fear and death. Eventually, as they engage in the fighting, one day, death will come. Unnoticed by them, the death will come. And their children will continue the fight. The family fights between brothers, it will continue like that only. Whole life they continue fighting. After them, their children will continue to fight. So without noticing, death will come one day. When death approaches, they become fearful. Whole life I was fighting for this land and this place, this. Still now I have not got it. They become fearful. Out of fear, they leave the body. And after death, what they will get? From the combination of death and fear, there came the children named pain and hell. They will go to hell with a body known as Yatana Deha. After death, the people who follow Adharma, they will receive a Yatana Deha they will go to hell and they will go through unending yatana, unending pain in the hellish planetary systems. This is how, by taking shelter of adharma, eventually one ends up in hell with intense yatana, intense pain.
Just a question, I mean, if somebody is kind of victim, or in more or less even we have some traits of this, if we take shelter of these demigods, I mean, whatever you name them, Rakshas, can they help us get rid of these traits?
No. They don't help. They are the adharmic. They only instigate more and more adharmic activities. So now, how to come out of it is mentioned in the 5th verse. One may ask about the favorable and unfavorable elements for practicing bhakti, the ultimate method described in the Vedic literatures. The elements ending with hell, the family members of adharma, have been described as the elements to be avoided. For example, durukti, harsh speech that we can see in the personality of Suruchi. Suruchi spoke very harshly. And later on, King Anga married the daughter of Mrityu. Mrityu Devata also had a daughter known as Sunita. Suniti or Suniti. Not Suniti, Sunita, something like that. So Anga Maharaj married her. As a result, he got a son known as Vena. So like that it happens. Even though one person may be good, but if that person's companions are from the adharmic tendencies, there's a great chance of that person becoming a victim of that. So by all means, one should avoid them. शादी किया ना उससे, शादी करने के पहले सोचना चाहिए किससे शादी करने किससे शादी नहीं करने. So for Anga it is marriage, but for us it may be association. So in that way we should be careful, because these are unfavorable elements for practicing bhakti. Knowingly and unknowingly we should be careful about them, otherwise we become victim to this and we'll go on the path of niraya or hell, instead of going on the path of back to Godhead. So then how to come out of this? That Lord says, Maitreya says in the 5th verse. Sangrahena mayakyata prati sargasthavanaga ter shrutvaita puman punyam vidunoti atmanomalam.
My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation, and one who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul.
Yeah. Oh sinless Vidura, briefly I have described destruction. One who hears this purifying descriptions 3 times cleanses his mind of all sins. Sangrahena means in summary. Pratisarga means destruction. The above description is called destruction because it is a cause of destruction. Like we read in Bhagavad Gita, Dhyato Visham Pumsha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sanga Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bijayate Krodhot Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Buddhi Pamsha Buddhi Pamsha Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, something like that. So here in Sanskrit, 1 means 1, 2 means 2. Anything about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 15, 500, 600, 700, 800, 1000, 10,000, 100,000. Yeah. Anything above 2 is generally called as 3. 3 means many. Singular, ekavachana, dvivachana and bahuvachana. 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 means 3 and many. So here Vidura is Maitreya is telling that for a personality like you 3 times is enough. Just by hearing 3 times, personality like you, my dear Vidura, can become careful. But for us, we need to continuously hear about them again and again so that we become careful of these things. So like something like that. So we need to hear about all these things so that we are supposed to be careful of all these things. So that is the understanding. So with that understanding itself, in the beginning only Maitreya is telling these things. If at all we are not careful, what will happen? Examples are shown in the future chapters. Suruchi took shelter of harsh speech, took shelter of greed. She wanted the kingdom for her own son. What happened to her? We'll see. Same way, Anga Maharaj, without proper discrimination, married immediately Sunita, the daughter of Mrityu. As a result, he had a son, Vena. He tried to change the son, but he could not. That is what will happen. So, one example like that.
How do you know if somebody is coming in what lineage?
Is, हाँ? तो करना पड़ेगा ना?
कैसे समझेगा?
कैसे समझेगा मतलब?
कुछ नहीं समझता हूँ.
Somebody coming in the lineage of Dharma, Adharma कैसे समझेगा?
No, here now there is no lineage. Dharma here for us, we person following these qualities, taking shelter of these qualities.
No, but even traits you can't come to know.
Huh?
Traits of a person you can't come to know. Unless you stay with that person for 10, 20 years, then you get to know, oh, this is the right color.
See, generally we say na phalena parichayate or something like that. So when, for example, in the case of marriage, how do they select the bride and bridegroom? And what parameter they select? Huh? उसके पहले और एक है family background. What kind of family? You are talking in terms of city culture. I am talking from the village culture.
So we are in city, you talk about city's culture.
I don't know city culture. There is in the village culture, they only talk about the family. So what kind of family, about what is their generation, previous generation, what they were doing, etc. Of course, nowadays village also becoming city. Things are changing very drastically. But generally, they talk about the family. If the family is good, they expect the girl from that family also will be having same qualities. Huh?
Why should we also be having some good qualities?
Same way they also see. If the family is good, boy also will have same qualities. So that is how generally it is said. So it's like that. Oh, sinless Vidura, you are not in this family of Adharma. The description is purifying because by hearing it, one can avoid these items. By hearing them again and again, one can avoid those items. So it's like that. So that is all about Adharma lineage. Okay, any questions?
You were saying that this is the like if you want to get rid of this, you keep on hearing about it.
Otherwise there is no hope for us. We need to keep on hearing what we are supposed to be aware away from. That's why we hear every Bhagavatam class. No meat eating, no sex, no insects, no gambling. 4 rules and regulations we are supposed to follow.
Gross things. What we are talking right now.
Subtle.
Subtle.
I mean, grass are subtle. We need to hear about them only. Otherwise, we take it easy. We take it for granted. So in that way.
What happens with that we don't actually do these things on ourselves when instigated? Oh, yeah.
Whether it is instigated or not instigated, we are doing. That's all.
उसके लिए भी थोड़ी सुकृति नहीं चाहिए क्या?
उसके लिए determination चाहिए. That we need to have proper determination that I don't want to do it. And also we need to have mercy. Both determination and also mercy. Any questions from the devotees online?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vijay, I just was feeling that means we listen to all the good children of and that their lineage, that is fine. We get Falashruti also, that by that you get this and this benefit. But what benefit will get Prabhuji by listening to these adharmic things? Like although it is written that 3 times if you listen, you will be off.
They see the result is not just by hearing. The result is when we follow them. For us to follow, we need to hear them. Unfortunately, for the persons like, fortunate for the people like Vidura, just by hearing once they can stay away from them for the entire life. But for person like us or like me, We need to hear hundreds of times so that we can be away from them. One time hearing will not work at all for us. To hear more and more so that we can put them into practice so that we can get benefited. Kindly do not get into the trap that, okay, hearing this past time I get this Palashruti. Not that. Palashruti means when we hear something, we are expected to follow it. Any hearing continues with following. Unless until we follow, we don't get that Palashruti mentioned in the last verse of the section. Palashruti don't come just by hearing. Palashruti comes when we follow what we hear. Nahin. Palashruti never comes just by hearing.
Bhagavatam Mahatyam states that the ghost achieved liberation just by hearing Bhagavatam for 7 days continuously. That Bhagavatam Mahatyam.
Wow. अब तो सब nullify कर रहे हो.
Okay. Fine. What is the purpose of
Prabhuji,
hearing?
what did they say? Prabhuji,
No, wait. Binit Prabhu is asking a question that, but Dundubi attained perfection. The ghost attained perfection by hearing Bhagavatam for 7 days. What is the purpose of hearing?
Prabhuji, after Shravanam, there has to be Mananam and Nidijas. Then that Shravanam will, the Falashruti will be activated for the whosoever
Shravanam,
passes.
and after Shravanam there should be Kirtanam, and after Kirtanam there should be Smaranam. Without Smaranam, no one will go back to Godhead. That ghost did Smaranam. Even Parishit Maharaj also heard for 7 days, then eventually did Smaranam, then only went back to Godhead. Without Smaranam, nothing will happen. Smaranam means application.
Yeah, so means that their Mananam has to be there, na, then Smaranam will occur. Even for that.
Same thing. You may call different names, Mananam, Nirudhyasanam, all these
Because
different names.
Gokarna,
Ultimately,
that Katha also, Yamaduta said, na, means when it was asked that why only one person is going back when so many people heard the Bhagavatam, and then it was told that only that person did the Mananam of whatever he used to listen whole day, he used to do the Mananam,
yes.
and that is why.
Others just heard, but only he did Smaranam. So it is like that. Never ever under the illusion that just by hearing I will get all that. No. Shravanam should lead to Kirtanam. Kirtanam
But
includes
that,
all the activities. And then which will supposed to lead to Smaranam. Antakalecha Mameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. Only that will take one back to Godhead. Without that, not just by hearing, nothing will happen.
so my question is that only, Prabhuji, that Maranam has to be of the Supreme Lord, na. So why all this adharmic lineage Shravan करके Supreme Lord का कैसे स्मरण होगा?
See, Mataji, please, again, don't ask same question I just mentioned. By hearing what we are not supposed to do, we do. We stop them. If we don't hear that we are not supposed to do this, we never know that we are not supposed to do. If devotees never tell us that don't drink tea and coffee, do we ever stop drinking tea and coffee? If devotees only tell that whatever you eat, you're supposed to offer to Lord deities and then eat. So we'll also offer tea and coffee and Coca-Cola, thumbs up, and then drink. People can offer egg and fish and meat also. If you only tell only one thing, one statement, you whatever you eat, you offer and then eat. We should also be told that what should be offered, what should not be offered. Same way in the first chapter, it was told that what should be done, the dharma lineage. And now we decide what we are not supposed to do, adharma lineage. Do's and don'ts. Without which we can't practice our sadhana.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have 5 minutes break, then we'll continue. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Devotees are there. We'll continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So now from text number 6 onwards, the actual pastime of Dhruva begins. So Atata Kirtaye Vamsham Punyakirte Kurudvaha Swayambhuvasyapi Manor Harer Amshamsha Janmana.
Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe before you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary extension of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
O best of the Kurus, Kurudvaha, I shall now describe the descendants of the famous Swayambhuva Manu, who produced parts of the Supreme Lord. From Manu's lineage came portions of the Lord such as Kapila. From Devahuti, Lord Kapila was born. From Devahuti's daughters, out of 9 daughters, there was Anasuya. Anasuya gave birth to Dattatreya. From Akuti, Yajna was born. Okay. From Prasuti, there were 16 daughters, out of which one was Murti, married Dharma. They gave birth to Naranarayan Rishi. And then, in the line of Uttanapada, the Supreme Lord will appear as King Prutu. In the line of Priyavrata, the Supreme Lord will appear as Rishabha. Like that, in everyone's lineage, Lord appeared. So that is what is. That's why this particular lineage becomes glorious. So in that way. So now the 3 daughters lineage has been mentioned. The various avatars appeared in that lineage are also mentioned. Now the sons and their lineages are mentioned. Priyavratottana Pado Shatarupa Pate Sutau Vasudevasya Kalaya Rakshayam Jagata Stitau.
Vaibhav Manu had 2 sons by his wife Shatarupa, and the names of the sons were Uttanpad and Priyavrata, because both of them were descendants of a plenary expansion of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens.
By his wife Shatarupa, Swayambhu Manu had 2 sons, Uttanapada and Priyavrata, who appeared to protect the whole Jagata, means appeared to protect the entire Bhumandala as portions of Lord Vasudeva. So out of the 2 portions of Lord Vasudeva, they are Vibhutis, Lord's Vibhutis, na? Just like Indra is Lord's Vibhuti, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Surya, they are Vibhutis, like the Uttanapada and Priyavrata also Vibhutis. That's why they could rule over the entire Bhumandala. They were situated as portions of the Lord for protecting the world. Even a king is also Vibhuti of the Supreme Lord, is dependent on the Supreme Lord in that sense also.
Girls in that way were very.
Yeah, they have different, their qualities are also Lord's Vibhuti. Jaye Uttanapadasya Suniti Suruchistayo Suruchis Preyasi Patyur Netaraya Suto Dhruva.
Right. King Uttanpad had 2 queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite.
So, King Uttanapada had 2 wives or 2 queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti the eldest wife, Suruchi is the youngest wife. Of the 2, Suruchi was very dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not dear to the king. So now Uttanapada's details are being mentioned. So here is the interesting purport. Prabhupada writes very like a kind of introduction to the entire pastime. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of Swayambhu Manu and Uttanapada was the second son. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruva Maharaj, the son of Uttanapada, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. So basically, both of them were sent to Gurukul. They studied nicely. under Narada Muni. Uttanapada returned home. Priyavrata remained in the ashram, wanted to continue as a brahmachari. And Uttanapada came home. Swayambhu Manu made him as the next king and he went to forest to practice Vanaprastha. So eventually Uttanapada was married to two girls, two ladies, as I mentioned here, Suniti and Suruchi, out of which Suruchi is very dear wife, Suniti is not so dear. So the incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaj's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. Prabhupada expects when we hear this pastime, there should be feelings of devotional service. No.
Feeling of detachment. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always discussed these two pastimes.
Dhruva and Prahlad. Ekada suruche putram ankam aropya lalayan uttamam narurukshantam dhruvam rajyabhyanandata.
King Uttanapada had two queens named Suniti and
Hare
Suruchi.
Krishna, next verse.
Oh, Prabhuji, sorry. Once upon a time, King Uttanapada was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttama, placing him on his lap. Dhruva Maharaj was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him.
Yeah. Once, when King Uttanapada was placing the son of Suruchi, known as Uttama, on his lap, was patting him, he did not acknowledge Dhruva, who wanted to climb on his lap. One fine day, being seated on the throne, inside inner chambers, may not be in the Raj Darbar, in the inner chambers, he seated on the throne meant for the king, and most probably that must have been the inner chambers of Suruchi. So Suruchi's son, Uttama, climbed onto the king's lap and sitting there. The king was cuddling with the child. And Dhruva also happened to be around. He also wanted to sit on the other lap of his father. He was trying to climb. The king did not notice. King did not take him and put him on the lap because the queen is standing next to him. So then what happened? Tata chikirshamanam tam sapatnyastanayam dhruvam suruchi shrunvato rajna shersham atati garvita.
While the child Dhruva Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself.
Yeah.
So Suruchi is a stepmother?
Obviously none. There are two wives. So Dhruva was the son of Suniti, Uttama was the son of Suruchi.
Okay.
For Dhruva, Suruchi will be stepmother.
Yes.
Sapatnya. Suruchi, who was very proud, Ati Garvita, who was very proud of her own position because she is the dearmost wife of the king. As a result of that, she became very proud. Spoke with spite. Sa Hirsham Aha. With Hirsha, she spoke to Dhruva, to the child Dhruva, the son of Suniti. Sapatnyas Tanayam Dhruva. She spoke to Dhruva, who is the son of her co-wife, who is trying to climb on his father's lap. while the king was able to hear. Dhruva is still trying to climb the lap of his father, and Uttanapad is not doing anything because he knew that the next standing next to him was Suruchi, and now Suruchi is speaking very harshly, with Irsha, with Ati Garvita, with very much proud, because she was liked by the king very much, so she had that, what you can say, because king likes me, whatever I say is what, that's all. So in that way. So what did she speak? Navasta Nrupaterdišnam Bhavan Arodhumarhati Na Gruhito Mayayatvam Kukshau Api Nrupatmaja.
Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaj, "My dear child, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take your birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap."
So she says that, my dear child, O Vasta, you do not deserve to sit on the lap of the king. Na Nrupatir Dishnam Bhavan Arodhumarhati. So then Dhruva says that, no, my dear mother, my brother is sitting. He is also the son of the king. I am also son of the king. So because he is sitting, I can also sit. Then she says that, though you are also the king's son, but you did not take birth from my womb. So you don't have any right to sit on the lap of your father. So today you are saying that I am also the son of the king like Uttama. So I want to sit on the lap of the king. And tomorrow you will say that I will sit on the throne. Today you don't have any right to sit on his lap, and tomorrow you don't have any right to sit on the throne. Because you are not born from my womb. The next question is that, so in the previous question is that just like Uttama is the son of the king, I am also son of the king. The next question will be, just like you are the queen of the king, wife of the king, my mother is also the wife of the king. The next he will say that the king does not like your mother. The king only accepts me as his wife, not your mother. So you don't deserve to sit on the lap today and on the throne tomorrow. Dishnam means sit. You cannot sit there because though you are the son of king, you are not from my womb. You can exit. So it is like that. So this is how, without speaking, the subtle instructions are going to each other. Balosi batanatmanam anya stri garba samrutam unam veda bhavan yasya durlabe arte manorata.
My dear child, you are unaware that you were born not of my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should not know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill.
Simple. She is speaking, not only keeping the things currently in mind, in future also in mind. So today you are trying to climb onto the lap of your father. Tomorrow you make attempts to climb onto the throne. These two will not happen. You are a child. Therefore, you having a desire for the impossible. Durlabe artha manorata. You do not know that you are born from the womb of another woman. Anya Stri. She may say that she is also the wife of the king, but the king never considers her to be his wife. So she remains as a Anya Stri. Since you have taken birth from a woman whom the king never considers as his wife, you don't have any qualification to sit on the lap of the king today and to sit on the throne tomorrow. So it's like that.
Incident happened in Satyuga.
What Satyuga? This happened in Swayambhu Manvantara. Now we are in the 7th Manvantara. Yeah, that time in the Satyuga.
Probably as a probably so.
Tapasaradhya Purusham Tassaivanugrahena me Garbe Tvam Sadayatmanam Yadichasi Nrupasanam. Yeah, please read someone.
If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and then, when you are favored by him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb.
Worshipping the Lord by the performance of severe austerities. By Lord's mercy, you place yourself in my womb. If at all you want to sit on the king's lap. My dear child, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, you may be thinking, she does not say your father. She says that if at all you want to sit on the lap of the king, first worship Lord Vishnu, then get the blessings of Lord Vishnu, then die, then enter my womb, then take birth, then you will get to sit on the lap of the king. Not even your father. Yadi Atmanam Ichasi Nrupasanam. If at all you want to sit on the lap of the king who is sitting on the asan, throne. So do all these things. Worship Vishnu, get his blessings, die, and then get into my womb and take birth.
One thing, even in spite of being so envious, one thing she says is nice. That she says, worship Krishna. So knowing the supremacy of the Lord very much.
Yes.
That much is very clear.
Very clear.
Here be yes.
Her talk is to show the king that she has devotion, but she is not a real devotee. You must place yourself in my womb. She could have stopped there itself. You worship Vishnu, get Lord's blessing, then you can sit. That means a devotion. She said that, then die and take birth from my womb. This plays major criteria. So that's why Acharya said that she is not a real devotee. She is acting as a devotee.
And Dhruva was like 5-year-old?
Yeah, 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Now satisfying the Lord by 3, 4, 5 or 6 vratas for getting into my womb. You should then quickly die. I will see your mother weeping. May you and I be happy.
So that also she wants.
Obviously, now when son dies, mother will be unhappy. See, this is in one sense the rivalry between co-wives. That is also there. Because of that only children it comes now. She does not have any enmity towards the son, that's Dhruva. There is a rivalry between the two wives, favoritism. So she says that if I will be only having children and my co-wife is not having children, already king is liking me and king will like me more and more and I will hate her less and less, more and more. So it's like that, rivalry between co-wives.
Just this little deviation, I'm just asking one question. In Ramayana also, I've heard that Kaikeyi really treated Kaushika very badly. Was it true? I mean, I've heard, of course it's true only, but I've not heard about much.
I mean, not very bad, but Kaikeyi showed off because Kausalya married after many years, Sumitra was married after many years, many decades or centuries. Kaikeyi is married. So out of the 3 wives, she is young. So king is naturally attracted to her. So since king likes me, both of you are neglected. She had some superiority complex always. And that is the point with which mantra disturbs the mind of Kaikeyi. See, till date, the king was so much favor towards you. When Lord Ram becomes the king, till date you kind of showed, you looked upon down Kausalya. When Rama becomes the king, Kausalya will take revenge upon you. And Dasharath will look after Kausalya more now onwards. That's what contaminated the consciousness of Kaikeyi. This one word. Then she said, my son should become the king. Otherwise, till then she never said. She always said, okay, let Rama be the king. She had liking towards Rama, no problem. When it came between the co-wives, gone. Huh?
Power politics.
Not power politics. That is naturally it is there always. It's like that. Maitreya Uvacha Matu Sapatnya Sadurukti Vidya Swashan Rusha Dandahato Yatahi Hitva Mishantam Pitaram Sannavacham Jaga Mamatu Prarudan Sakasam.
The sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, as a snake when struck by a stick breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaj, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother.
As Suruchi was speaking all these words, Uttanapada did not say any word. He did not stop Suruchi. He kept quiet. He did not took Dhruva and pacified him also. He remained silent. Something like that. Pierced by harsh words of his mother's co-wife, breathing heavily in anger, like a snake struck by a stick, he left his silent father, who was watching, and went to his mother while weeping. At least, okay, stepmother is not happy with him, but at least he was expecting something from his father. Father was not doing anything. And he felt as if a snake hit by a stick. It becomes very angry. Same with that anger, he went to his mother's place.
Tanpal is also vibhuti of the norm in one sense, you said. Still he is happy.
What can be done? Wife is wife. I'm sorry.
What? Not on this class. तब तो अच्छा हो.
No, it's not about that. See, sometimes one need to listen.
All the time one has to listen.
No, other times. Otherwise, the whole rest of the days will be difficulty.
Yeah.
Tam nishvasantam spuritadharostram sunitiruστanga udhuya balam nishamya tat paura mukan nitantam saviyate yad kaditam sapatnya. Yeah, someone please read the translation. आप लोग पढ़ो.
When Dhruva Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi related everything in detail. Thus Suniti also became greatly aggrieved.
Yeah. As soon as seeing her son who is coming towards her crying, Suniti lifted her son, who was breathing heavily with trembling limbs, onto her lap. And hearing from the citizens means the palace ladies, what had happened, she felt pain at the words of her co-wife. Sotrujya dhairyam vilalapa shoka Davagnina davalateva bhala Vakyam sapatnya smaranti saroja. Striya Darsha Bashpa Kalamuvaha.
This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief she became dust like a burnt leaf and also lamented. And she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke.
Yeah, like a forest creeper burned by the forest fire of lamentation. The woman, that means Sunati, remembering the words of her co-wife Suruchi and losing her self-control, began to lament, shedding tears from her lotus eyes. She then spoke to pacify her son Dhruva. Sunati began to speak. Dirgam swashanti vrijinasya param apashyati balaka mahabala mamangalam tata pareshu mamsta bhungte jano yat paradukkadastat.
She also was breathing very heavily and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain."
Why she's saying.
Yeah, that's why her name is Suniti. Breathing heavily, not seeing an end to her suffering, she said to her son, "O son, O Tata, do not find fault in others. Pareshu ma amangalam mamsta. Kindly never ever find faults with others. Because those who have given suffering to others in the previous life, they will receive the same suffering in this life. It seems that I have given similar kind of suffering to someone in the previous life. Now I am receiving. Similarly, you are also receiving. Do not find fault with Suruchi. Never find fault with the instrument of our karma. We should see whatever comes to us as a reaction to our previous activities. So this is what Suniti is speaking to Dhruva. Do not find fault in your stepmother. What she says about me is correct. You have experienced the results of, so you have experienced the results of sins you have committed in previous births. Since the person who gives suffering to others in a previous life receives it back in this life. Suniti is telling to herself and also to her son. So we have done something wrong in the past. So we are experiencing the results. Therefore, do not find fault with Suruchi, your stepmother. Don't be angry with her. Then she continues, why? Satyam Surucha Bihitam Bhavan me Yeddu Eddurbagaya Udare Grihita Stanyena Vriddascha Vilajjate Yam Bharyeti Vavodumit Idaspatirmam.
Suniti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up."
Yeah, here Suniti is saying that what Suruchi said is actually true. Because you have been held in my womb, an unfortunate person, Durbagaya, and have grown up by my breast milk. But the king is ashamed to accept me as his wife or even as his servant. Suruchi said. So when Dhruva said that, so my brother Uttama is sitting on the lap of my father. So let me also sit. Then Suruchi said, no, Uttama is only the son of the king. because he accepts me. You are not the son of the king. Then he said, no, just like you are the wife of the king, my mother is also wife of the king. Then Suruchi said, no, king will never accept your mother as his wife. Now Suruchi is saying, yes, I am so unfortunate. The king does not even accept me as his maid servant. Then what to speak of accepting me as his wife? Since you have been born through my womb, you will also not be accepted as his son. So like that, she is trying to pacify Dhruva. To be held in my womb is itself misfortune for you. Just because you have been born from my womb, that brings you all the misfortune. That's why you are not able to sit on the lap of your father. He is ashamed to accept me as his wife. He does not think of me as his wife, accepting the burden of protecting and caring for me. He thinks me unsuitable to be his wife. He does not care for me. Then how will he care for you, who is my son? So please do not find fault with Suruchi. Whatever she did actually correct. Whatever Suruchi said is actually correct. He does not think of me. He does not even think of me as his maid servant. Then what to speak of thinking me as his wife and you as his son? So it's a long way to go. Then now she says very important thing. Astita astita tata vimastharastvam uktam Samatrapi yadavyalikam Aradhayadokshajapada padmam Yadichase Dhyasanamutamo yatha.
My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother, Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Then she says that if you desire to be seated like your brother Uttama on the lap of your father Uttanapada, then without envy of Suruchi, execute the true words uttered by her. Worship the feet of the Lord. Aradaya adokshuja pada padmam. Just follow whatever she said. If at all you want to sit on the lap of your father without envying your stepmother, execute whatever she said. Suruchi is equivalent to your mother. Though she wants to harm you, do what she had said. Whatever she had said, kindly follow that. Then Dhruva asks, my dear mother, you mean that I should worship the Lord, get blessings of the Lord, then die, and then take birth as her son? Then Suniti says, no. Just follow our words to worship the Lord, who will remove your pain. You don't have to die and get birth from a womb. That is not required. Just follow our instruction of worshipping the Supreme Lord. Lord will remove your pain. Whatever pain now you are going through, that is completely removed by the Supreme Lord. Then she speaks philosophically. What is true is not comfortable to hear. Whatever your stepmother told you, all these things may not be comfortable to hear. That your father, who married both of us, supposed to like both of us, but it is not the reality. The reality is very difficult to accept, but one should accept. But worshipping the Lord is not uncomfortable for anyone. The other part of the words of Suruchi may not be acceptable. One may not accept it. It may be so painful. But worshipping the Lord is comfortable to everyone. Accept that portion. That you should follow. So, but worshipping the Lord is not uncomfortable for anyone. Therefore, give up hatred of Suruchi. My weeping has been written on my forehead by the Creator since birth, because it is my karma. You should be happy. I don't want you to go through the same pain. Just follow whatever she said, that worship the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, your pain will be removed. So Dhruva might say that, my dear mother, you also worship Lord Vishnu, your pain will remove. Then she said that my life is already almost completed. There is no point in the sense, removal of the pain. For removing the pain, I don't have to worship Vishnu. She can worship Vishnu for her own liberation, etc. But you are a small child. I don't want you to go through this pain for the entire life ahead. So better worship Vishnu, so that your remaining life will be happy. I am already habituated to this kind of life. It's okay. Forget about me. But you gain. And now this she quotes two examples. These are two important examples which inspires Dhruva. Yasyangri Padmam Paricharya Vishwa Vibhavanayata Guna Bipatte Ajodyatistat Kaluparameshtam Padam Jidatma Swashana Bivandyam.
Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life, air, prana.
Here she says that by worshipping the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, who is worshipped by those who control the mind and breath, and who assumes Sattva-guna for maintaining the universe, Lord Brahma attained his supreme position. We have discussed this in the second canto, 9th chapter, third canto, 8th chapter. Lord Brahma performed severe austerity, then he was empowered by the Lord Vishnu, then he became the creator of the universe. She says that your grandfather, great-grandfather, Uttanapada is father, Swayambhu is the grandfather, Brahma is the great-grandfather. Your great-grandfather attained his position by worshipping Lord Vishnu. Attained his position of the creator only by worshipping Lord Vishnu. So this verse is spoken in response to an inquiry by Dhruva. Dhruva said that, will I enter the womb of that sinful woman by worshipping the Lord? No. Not for that. I'll tell you why we should worship Vishnu. She is such a vile creature. Even your father, her servant, is also vile and foolish. She is speaking out of anger. Worshipping the Lord, you don't have to enter into the womb of your stepmother. Instead, worshipping the Lord, you can attain a position greater than that of Brahma. She tells, by worshipping Lord Vishnu, Brahma attained his position. By worshipping the same Lord Vishnu, you can attain the position as that of Brahma, or even much better than that. Therefore, quickly go from here and worship the Lord. Do not lament. This is explained in 4 verses. Next 4 verses, 20-23. Brahma worshipped the feet of the Lord, who has accepted the position of the controller of Sattva-guna for maintaining the universe. Feet which are adored by the yogis who have controlled their minds and pranas. So because no, Lord Vishnu is the controller of Sattva-guna, is the maintainer, and by worshipping him, just like other yogis worship him, he attained the position of the creator. So something like that.
Second example is giving that of Manu.
In the next verse. Tata manurvo bhagavan pitamaho yame kamatya puru dakshinermakai ishtva bipede udduravapa manyato Bhaumam Sukam Divyamatapa Vargyam.
Suniti informed her son, your grandfather, Swayambhu executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity and thereby With unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods.
Just like Lord Brahma attained his position, similarly, Manu, your grandfather, worshipping the Lord with concentrated intelligence, with great charity and sacrifices, achieved happiness on the earth, happiness in the heaven, and he also achieved liberation, which are difficult to achieve by other means. Only by worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can achieve happiness on the earth, happiness in the heaven, and happiness in the Vaikuntha. All these three are attained by your grandfather. Similarly, by worshipping the Lord, your grandfather attained the position of Manu, which are difficult to achieve by other means. She is giving two examples, very recent examples, which are familiar to Dhruva. Then now, the next. So, my dear mother, you are telling me to go and for worship Lord Vishnu. What happened to you? What will happen to you? So, we are just closing. This section will complete in 23rd verse. We'll just read through and then close. Tameva vasta shreyabhrutya vastalam mumukshubirmugya padabja paddatim ananya bhave nijadharma bhavite manasavastapya bhajasva purusham.
My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation. Just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service.
Yeah, here Suniti is saying that, O child, therefore take shelter of the Lord, Tameva Ashraya, who is affectionate to his dear devotees, Bhrutya Vastala, and whose footsteps are sought by the aspirants for liberation, Mumukshubir Mugya Padavcha Paddatim. Generally, the great sages worship Lord Vishnu for the purpose of going back to Godhead. Worship the Lord, fixing him in your mind, purified by bhakti, with attachment to nothing else. Ananya Bhave. Worship that Lord with Ananya Bhakti, not just like that. The Lord is affectionate to his servants. He will have more affection for you than the affection of millions of mothers like me. So, my dear son, though you may be want to be with me, but forget about me. Whatever affection you are getting from me, you will get millions of more affection from the Lord. Worship Lord Vishnu, go to him. Forget about sitting on the lap of your father, becoming Manu, becoming Brahma. Forget about all these things. The great sages worship Vishnu for going back to Godhead. Therefore, worship Vishnu and go back to Godhead. You will receive millions of more affection than that you receive from me. You will not encounter a trace of suffering. Take shelter of the Lord, the path of whose lotus feet are sought by aspirants of the liberation, but which is not easily attained by them. Even the yogis surrender to him. They will not attain liberation very easily. But worship Lord Vishnu with Ananya Bhakti. Then you will attain it easily. Having taken shelter, you should place them in your mind, which has attachment for nothing else. Worship the Lord, fixing him in the mind purified by Bhagavad Dharma. Since a 5-year-old boy is not qualified for practicing Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Since you are just 5 years old, you cannot practice Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga like the other yogis do. Just accept the Lord's lotus feet and keep them in your heart and worship with him. Worship him with Ananya Bhava, Ananya Bhakti. That will take you back to Godhead and you will get unlimited. What is that? Unlimited affection from the Lord. So this is the last verse for today's discussion. Nanyam tata padma palashalochanat dukkha chidam te mrugayanti kanchana Yo mrugyate astagृहीत padmaya श्रियेतरैर अंगविमृग्य माया मानया.
My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune. But the goddess of fortune herself, herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord.
She says that neither I, nor your father, nor your grandfather, not even Brahma can remove your pain, whatever pain you are going through now. I do not find anyone who can extinguish your suffering except the lotus-eyed Lord, who is sought by Lakshmi, who holds a lotus in her hand, and who is sought by Brahma and others. Mother Lakshmi is after Lord Vishnu, and all the devatas said by Brahma, they are after Lakshmi, means they are after prosperity, blessings of Mother Lakshmi. If you take shelter of Brahma, who is taking shelter of Lakshmi, who is taking shelter of Vishnu, what kind of affection Brahma will give you or Manu will give you? Directly take shelter of Vishnu only. He will give supreme shelter. So, in that way. Seeing their temporary nature, I do not advise you to worship the devatas, who, though easy to worship, are incapable of uprooting your suffering, since they give temporary results only. The Lord has lotus eyes. Just by his glance, you, burning with grief, will become cool. Lakshmi holds a lotus in her hand like a lamp, and she is sought by Brahma and others. It is only Lord Vishnu whose eyes are like lotus. Lakshmi is holding lotus in her hand, but Lord Vishnu is having lotus in the eyes only. Just by his glance, your pain will be removed. So in that way. So like that, Suniti instructed Dhruva, take shelter of Lord Vishnu. Only he can remove your pain. No one else in this world, all the way up to Brahma. And by worshipping that Vishnu, only Swayambhu Manu got his position, Brahma got his position, and by worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can get position more than Brahma. Only he can give, no one else. So in that way. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.